Yeah, so look at this. That is the Confederate battle flag, and that cross in the middle, that's probably the gang sign, but it's, because the Confederate flag doesn't have that cross in the middle, but that is actually not the flag of the official flag of the Confederacy. It's actually the Confederate battle flag. It's actually the flag that soldiers would actually bring into battle. But this is the flag that the Neo-Confederates oftentimes wave around. And you have really dumb people out there who they basically think that the Civil War had nothing to do with slavery, and they think that it was all fighting over states' rights. And the reality of that is that came about like 20 years after the Civil War. It's called the Lost Cause myth, and it came in like the 1880s, 1890s. What happened was a lot of Confederate veterans, they were getting older, they were gonna, pass away within a number of years, and they basically wanted to protect their legacy. They didn't want it to seem like they went down in history fighting for slavery, so they basically created these myths and these propaganda that it was all about states' rights. At the time, when the Civil War happened, they weren't really talking about states' rights. Like, all of the southern states had basically said that it was over slavery. The Jefferson Davis, even the president of the Confederacy, actually said that slavery is a core institutional part of the Confederacy, and the official Confederate Constitution actually outlines slavery as a core part of the Confederacy and the reason for secession. And on top of that, also, each Confederate state had their own constitution in which they actually did also right, and the reason was slavery. This lost cause stuff was basically started by, like I said, it was started by a bunch of people. It was started by a bunch of people in the 1880s, 1890s who, pushed around this myth that it had nothing to do with slavery, when in reality that's the whole thing. That's what it was all about. But yeah, you had gangs like this. These gangs still exist to a degree. They're not as big as they used to be. Like, Marty's gang, for example, in Vice City Stories is a perfect example of that. And, the biggest gang that I can think of that's pretty neo-Confederate today, the largest one, is the Aryan Brotherhood. The Aryan Brotherhood is more of a neo-Nazi gang, but it was formed in prisons. But it has a lot of connections to Neo-Confederates. A lot of their members are also Neo-Confederates, so Aryan Brotherhood is probably the largest Neo-Confederate gang that I can think of today.